Let me talk for a second about it. Essentially, the objective is this. You are creating a website that's going to offer your reader slash viewer connections to your findings, to your argument or your topic, your subject matter, um, via your capstone argument, your researched argument, your annotated bibliography, um, and then these two special, real special additions. And those are the recasts of your argument. Okay, so I talked last week before last, about what this recast is. And essentially what it does is it says, hey, look, you have a real argument that needs to be poised in a real setting to a real audience in a real way, in a way that says, okay, this matters to this particular group of people, audience. This is how I want them to think about this position. And here's why, and here's how I'm going to persuade them to either take this action or accept this point of view. And those would be any number of your various appeals. We know that the majority, or not the majority, but many of the arguments that we see, that we experience, that we fall, I don't want to say victim to, that sounds like we're helpless in it, that we experience daily, come to us via multimodal methods. And so that's what I'm asking you to exercise here, a little bit of creativity, a lot of thinking, a lot of critical thinking, and excuse me. I want you to think about for whom you're designing this. Okay, if you're talking about vaccinations and you're talking specifically, say in one of your recast models about vaccinating children, who needs to hear that? I don't think the high school football team needs or cares about that. They're not thinking about that. But parents, yeah, parents of young children, they certainly are. So where do you reach those parents? What's the best way to reach them? Is it real smart to create a PowerPoint to give? Probably not, because where are you going to have all those people in one place? So you have to process and think about all these things. Where do young parents converge? Okay, so maybe you're looking at hospitals, maybe you're looking at doctors' offices, those boards that hold all those wonderful pamphlets, brochures, or maybe you want to create a poster that appears someplace. You have to think about who your target audience is, where you could logistically reach them, and then you have to say, okay, well, what's going to compel them? What do I want to include of all this information that I have? What do I want to include? And then you design that medium accordingly. Okay, maybe you want to create a TED Talk. Maybe you want to create something that appears on social media. Maybe every middle-aged mom is on Facebook. I don't know. Whatever you decide, that has to be thought through carefully. Okay. Maybe I'm going to stick to vaccinations just because it's an easy one to talk about in this regard. Maybe you want to, for your other recast model, maybe you want to talk about why college students should get the flu shot. Well, that's a very specific audience. You know where they are. You're going to get them on a campus. How are you going to get them? Do you want to get them on social media? Do you want to go through the university's webpage? Do you want to put posters in buildings? You have to think about where the best place is to reach your target audience and the best method you can use to appeal to them. Excuse me, clearly I didn't get the message. So think deeply about that. That's more important. You can't just say, "Oh, I want to create um, a TED Talk." Okay, well, I love TED Talks, as evidenced by our various hot topic discussions. Um, but you have to think about what you would say, or who you would primarily be appealing to, how much of your information you provide. Do you need to do more research? Is there something else you have to include? You have to process this. So the largest part of this is really thinking about it. How are you going to piece it together, and who's going to benefit most from hearing your message? Now, having said that, as you're processing it, maybe you want to take some notes, because in addition to creating these multimodal recasts, your final paper is going to be about 2 pages where you reflect on the choices that you made. Okay, so who's your target audience? What did you use in this particular appeal or this model or this recast to promote your message? What were you trying to achieve? Where would it appear? All of these things have to be answered in that reflection. Okay. Excuse me. So think about this as you're crafting the design for your argument, your multimodal piece. Okay, so let me kind of back up and recap. So you have a website that you've created on Wix. That website is your larger top. Sorry, my dog wants up here. Get down, buddy. And that website holds the whole subject matter. Now you have the option of adding 4 bonus points. Don't worry, you're going to be compensated. Some additional. I don't want to say just aesthetic appeals, but maybe some images or a particular layout. Maybe you want to add some other links, not necessarily to the argument, but maybe some information. So maybe you want to, if you're looking at, let's say that you're looking at concussions. So maybe you want to post a link to some various sources about informative sources that might assist somebody who stumbled upon this website. I want you to think larger than just what you've created, but you can use some other links as well if you'd like. You're not required to. The links that absolutely must appear: your capstone argument, your annotated bibliography, and at least 2 multimodal recasts. Now, I recognize that those recasts are not best served by being on a web page, okay? Because clearly you've designed them for a different audience or a specific audience. But I want them there because it's easier for me to access, obviously, to grade. Then you'll be writing up your reflection or review of those, and that will go in the assignment Dropbox. These are all linked to and discussed in the weeks 14, 15 module. Remember, as you're putting all this stuff together and you're creating these appeals, you evaluated those multimodal campaigns. So maybe you looked at the Truth campaigns, or maybe a couple of people looked at the Nike campaign. Those are resonating, powerful campaigns that take a lot of different approaches to what they're trying to communicate. They're sending a message to an audience, a specific audience, multiple audiences, different audiences, and they've thought very thoroughly through what they're doing. They're avoiding logical fallacies. Okay, they're not trying to insult their readers' intelligence. They're not, in most cases, attacking the opposition. Sometimes they do, but you can look at the effect of that. Okay, so think a little bit about what you want to accomplish in this. Are you breaking down somebody else's argument, or are you promoting your own? Are you appealing to them emotionally, or are you looking at a more logical approach? Often multimodal campaigns are emotional in nature. Why? Well, because that's largely what we respond to as humans. So think a little bit about that. I really want you processing the most effective means by which you can communicate your position to 1, 2, multiple audiences. Okay, so keep thinking, pardon me, on those lines. I've posted a few more arguments, multimodals, for you to take a look at. Now, these are just the recasts. It's not the full website. It's just some recasts for you to take a look at. A couple of brochures, a couple of videos, different appeals, different approaches, different things to take into consideration. I will also be posting a more detailed, I guess, guide sheet for your reflection on the creation of your recasts. I'll post that later today, probably before you even see this, but just so you have that to take into consideration after you've created it. I'm super, super excited to see them. I detailed I guess the basics of the assignments inside the module, so please review those.